Good Monday again. We are here today with another great hour of involvement, entertainment, knowledge, wisdom. It's going to be a spontaneous day. You ever heard of a spontaneous combustion? All of a sudden you look up and bam, there it is. It blows up. And that's what we're here today, is to inspire others to be better in themselves than what they were yesterday. So welcome this great, beautiful Monday, because we're here today with Joseph Land, who I'll pass it on to, who's doing a great job basically helping each and every one of us every day.
Thank you, Tom. And it's great to have everybody here at noontime on a Monday. And I want to give a shout out to Tom Chesser. Tom is one of my mentors, and he is a big deal. We won't tell you that, but he is the authority as far as I'm concerned in the media world and the online media world. And so if you want to get recognized and noticed, or you want to build a brand, it seems like it all goes through Tom Chesser and Rise Up Media. All the friends that I know who are having great success in their life are certainly using Tom and his services. And so, Tom, I'm honored to be one of your clients, and I'm honored that you would take Jennifer and me on. And I'm honored to have you on this show with us today.
Well, thank you very much. And we have a very special guest also that I invited, which is Dan Gilman. I know Dan can only have here for a few minutes because he has to go do his own show. So if you just welcome Dan Gilman with a great big Joseph Land welcome, I'd appreciate it. Hey, Dan, how are you doing over there?
I'm doing well, thanks. Sorry, I don't have my video on because of bandwidth, but I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.
Hello, Dan. This is Joseph Land. It's great to have you on today. I've heard a lot of nice things about you, and very proud of what you're doing. And thank you for coming on briefly today.
Oh, absolutely. I didn't want to miss it. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, great. That's great. You too.
Dan's carrying on his legacy for his mother, and his show has entrepreneurs from all over the globe, influencers that are making huge impacts, just like we are here today. So it's always good to have other influencers join up with you and come along on the ride. So Dan, we're honored to be here with you as well. So thank you for showing up, and just sit back, enjoy it. And if you have anything to say, always add value. That's what we're all here doing today. I mean, you in this room, you don't realize who you have. You have other entrepreneurs that have built $1 million business that have actually gone to do even greater things than that. So it's always fun surrounding yourself by influencers that are having that type of impact. And Joseph Land is one of those guys, I'm telling you right now, that have been doing that. And I mentioned that to you the other day when I was telling you about the Ask Joseph Land Insiders Club. I said, come on in, join the club, man. Everything's fine. So you're more than welcome anytime to the show. You're always welcome in our lives every day. So thank you for being here again.
Dan, thank you. I'd like for you to just say a few things to the people who are on and who will be listening to the recording. If you'd like to say a few things, I'd welcome that.
Oh, I'm sorry. You broke up. See, my bandwidth is. We're changing our connection here, so
that's okay. Say a few things to everyone. Give us a little of your insight today.
Oh no, it's an honor and a pleasure. Actually, I don't know if they've heard my story about my mother. Actually, had a radio show for over 30 plus years called Discover Your Potential, and unfortunately, she passed away last year, but luckily I was able to inherit her show, which is extraordinary. And she had people like Dr. Wade Dyer, Dr. Bernie Siegel, some really astounding, pretty amazing minds that she had on her show. And I've been very fortunate and lucky to actually inherit it and continue her work. So I certainly although I've changed a bit from her show because she didn't have as many entrepreneurs and business-minded people that she had on her show. Well, that's not true. She did at some point, but I've actually modified the show a bit from what she originally presented. But it's just quite extraordinary. The people that I've met, the journey, it's incredible.
Well, that's wonderful. It's certainly great to hear that, and congratulations for carrying on the legacy of your mother. And I look forward to getting to know you better. And thank you for being a part of our show today and coming on and saying a few words.
Oh, well, thank you. It's wonderful to connect with you.
Yes, thank you.
And Dan, we have a chat box. So if you want to share your information in the chat box, we'd sure enjoy to have it.
Oh,
absolutely. Absolutely. Esther, great to have you on. I just saw you come on. So Ute, great to have you on. Tony, great to have you on. A lot of familiar faces coming on today. You know, one of the things that someone asked me, this is, to be successful as an entrepreneur, you got to think differently than most people. I've built 2 large companies, building the 3rd one currently. And, business is not based on convenience. Business is based on inconvenience. I had a guy call me with a deal and said, "Can I call you at 8:00 tonight?" I said, "Of course." He said, "Really?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "There's always a convenient time for me to talk about a business deal." And so someone told me the other day, he said, "I'd love to come on your show, but it's at noontime and it's just kind of not convenient for me." And I said, "Yeah, I understand." I said, "I understand totally." And then I told him, I said, for me, business is never convenient. And when you're building a community of people trying to partake in a blessing and to try to give people what you've learned the hard way, then there's no better time than Monday at noontime to start off your week. So, it's just the way we think. It's not attitude is everything when you're building a business. And so it's just how we think. And sometimes our thinking has us right where we are. So I have determined every day that I'm going to think differently, think outside the box, and do the things that I know that I need to do to stretch myself to make me better. And if you're an entrepreneur, I don't care if you're like me and you build a $200 million company from scratch, or you build a $5 million company from scratch, you got to get in an uncomfortable position so you never have to be uncomfortable again. So that's just my philosophy. So it's great to have everybody on today. And I want to go right out of the chute with, as you guys know, I only mentor 8 people. 2 of those 8 are on this call today. And so I spend my time every week with these people, helping them think about things differently, helping them think about their business differently, helping them develop what they're trying to do, what God has led them to do. And it's just like, it's just exhilarating for me to watch them get blessed. And so I want you to know that years ago, I started thinking, how can I give back? How can I help people? And I determined, my wife and I said, I ride down the road with you in the car and I listen to you talk to people about business. And she says, I get an education. She says, why don't you go online and talk to people and let them ask you questions, and you talk to them the same way you talk to your clientele or your business partners or whatever. And I said, gosh, that's a great idea. And she and I both have fallen in love with this process, and we're learning and growing and changing. And it's just beautiful in order to sit and partake and to give people what you know and watch them use it for their good. And so one of my friends is on this call today. One of the guys that I mentor, and I've certainly learned a lot from him. And I want you guys to meet Jerry Llewellyn from Austin, Texas. Jerry, I want you to tell everybody a little bit about yourself. And I want them to just go with it. You tell them anything you want to tell them.
Okay. Thank you, Joseph. Well, let me just everything by saying be here with those up. I'm honored to be on his, I'm going to call it team, because he makes mentoring teamwork, and it's just awesome, and he downloads some wisdom and knowledge that has always been there, but when he delivers it, somehow it takes root in my being. I am more of a one-on-one person than I am a group person. And my work is with CEOs and owners of businesses ranging from attorney groups to physician groups to contractors, utility and construction contractors of different kinds, and all over the place. But usually from 2 million to 200 million. And even though I've had executive functions prior in my life with companies more than 200 million, my work has been to try to scale my knowledge and experience down into the roots of what a small business person, small business owner would do. And, you know, a 30, 40,000, 30, 40, $50 million business is still a small business in terms of the way it functions. So I help them organize and I help them clarify their goals. And what's amazing to me is all these things I'm talking about, Joseph is now doing with me. And I'm loving it. I'm totally loving it. I'm totally loving it. And, sent back here, he and I are texting back and forth. And, I'm telling him, oh my God, this is wealth and spiritual growth. Actually, it starts with spiritual growth and then prosperity and success from the inside out. And I just totally appreciate that support. And that's a little bit about me. Jovis, whether something else you might want.
Well, thank you, Jerry. And I think you're going to be a big part of what we do going forward, because you have a skill set of mentoring people and helping people. And I'm just so very proud of what you're doing. And Jerry just landed a huge contract, a big contract that we talked about, that he postured and put in a position to get. And so I'm very proud of you, Jerry, proud of what you're doing. And I wanted people to hear a little bit about your story. You're in Austin, Texas, and I am. I'm married. I have my darling Carol Ann wife is with me here, and I have 2 children. She has one, both from 20-year earlier marriages, and we're in our 20th year together and totally love the experience. But I think the most important thing to me is that, at this phase of my life, I just have a new beginning. I have a new day every day, actually. If I, when I get around to doing it, getting my head on right, it's a new day. And I really am appreciative of that. The clients that I have, I have worked with them in such a way that I can just say that there are times when I know the Lord is working through me, and that's the best life there is when that's the case. And sometimes I don't know it. Sometimes I'm aware as an observer of what I see unfolding before me, and I just feel very grateful to be in that in this life. So thank you, Joseph. Thank you. It's great to have you on the call today. I wanted people just to meet you so you could say hello to them. Another one of my clients is Shane Forbes, Forbes, Shane Forbes. She's on this call, and she is building a business. She lives in Nantucket, and I'm going to tell you, you're going to hear some really amazing things from this lady. Shane, I'd just like for you to say a few words. Not only am I mentoring her, she's mentoring me in my health. Isn't it amazing how you think that you're supposed to be giving someone a blessing, but you're the one that's actually getting the blessing? That's my relationship with this lady. And Jennifer and I just love her like crazy. And she has an amazing son and family and all of that. And it's just really cool. What I love about what we're doing here is that not only am I getting to know you guys, I'm getting to know your families. And my wife and I want you to know, my wife and I pray for you guys and your families. And there's power in that. And so what I told you months ago is what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be creating our own economy. And you'll see people within this show doing business with each other, and that's what I mean by that. So it's just really, really, really cool. So Shane, if you don't mind, not to put you on the spot, would you say a few words and thank you for being on today?
Well, thank you so much, Joseph. You know, when you invited me to join you and have you as a mentor, be one of your mentees, that was just one of the brightest spots, I have to say, in my entire life. And every day moving forward has been so joyful for me, because here I am trying to revive a business that I started. I had to let go of because of a car accident, 10 years ago now. And it's just so exciting to have Joseph right there at the get-go with me and helping me to see my business in new ways and expand it in new ways, and sending me scripture every couple of days and totally believing in me. You know, I have to honestly say that I have really never had that in my life up until now. And so I'm just over the moon grateful. And I'm seeing myself move ahead in ways with speed and clarity that almost beyond imagination. But here I am. Here we are, Joseph.
I want you to hear one word she just used: speed. I want you to write that down. See, when you get in the right alignment, everything speeds up a little bit. I don't know. I don't care what you're doing. When you get aligned right and you know you're doing the right thing, the speed of what you do increases. And Tom Armour can talk to that. He knows Tom Armour and I getting ready to do something really special. But guys, I want you to know that I want you to write this down. You're going to hear me say this over and over and over again. But, you know, most people look at things. I want to teach you how to see things, just like Jerry, just like Shane. I want to teach you how to see it, right? And I'll put it to you another way. I'm going to say it to you 100 different ways. Eyes that look are common, but eyes that see are rare. And so when you can really see, that's when things speed up, and that's when you get really blessed. And Dawn, I'm really proud of you. And what you're doing and what you're developing, and your beautiful comments on our social media pages and all that. My wife and I just love you, and we're so proud of you. You want to say a few words for us today? You're muted.
Sure. Thank you for letting me be a part of this blessing. Yes, I have been working on myself diligently the past year and realized that I had a spirit of lack. And I'm working through it by making sure that I'm around people who don't have that. So it comes up every now and then it passes. And if I face it enough times, it'll be gone forever. So as hard as it is to come here sometimes, because I don't really have that much to offer as far as, you know, financial success and all this, because I was a stay-at-home mom. Although I did own a dog grooming shop before I had children. So I do know how to run a small business. But I sold that to raise my son. And it can be very intimidating being around people who don't really know what the spirit of lack is.
Yes.
That they've conquered it, I should say.
Yes.
So just forcing myself to be here, which I knew I had to do because God put that upon me. It just gets easier and easier every time. So
yes.
Thank you for having me.
That was so beautiful. Thank you for being vulnerable. Let me teach everybody a lesson. There's no power in money. There's no power in position. There's no power in material things. There's power in humility and vulnerability. When she was just vulnerable to tell you what she's struggling with, that blessed me. And you know what? Let me tell you guys a story about lack. And let me tell you a story about the spirit of lack and the spirit of scarcity. I grew up in the mill village. My father worked in a mill, had a 5th grade education. All right. And so my way out was to play baseball. And when that didn't happen, I had to start a business of my own because I wanted to be a blessing to my parents. and see the world was telling me, oh man, don't take a chance. You need to get a job. You know, you're going to lose everything. I said, lose everything. I'm so broke, I can't pay attention. You know, that's real broke. And so what I said, you know what? I'm going to do the transportation business, and I'm going to learn it on the fly, and I'm going to do it. I don't care. I mean, I don't have anything anyway. What can I lose? Right? Guess what? All those naysayers 7 years later were all wanting to work for my company. You know, because I just did it anyway. I burned the boats. I didn't care what anybody thought. Let's go. Right? And it's having eyes that see when other people are looking. And that's what you got. That's what you got, Dawn. And so don't you let anybody take that away from you. And you know what? When you struggle and struggle and struggle, and you're told that you're not worth much from people who shouldn't be putting a value on you, right? You pay them no attention, because the God who created you made you special, and he's got a great plan for your life. And it's people like me that come along and help you achieve that plan. So, and all these people on this show today will help you as well. But you got a great idea. You're a go-getter. And you know what? I didn't start out building a big business either. I started out with nothing, absolutely nothing. And so that's where most people start. And you watch. God will take a small acorn and he will create a monstrous oak tree. Oak trees don't start as being huge. They start as acorns. Amen.
Amen.
And you're getting ready to blossom into a big tree. And you know what? I want to be the kind of tree that's out there where the wind can blow and howl and make me stronger. Bring it on. Right. You know, because the ones that are protected are a little more frail than the ones that are having to take the brunt of things. And so you and I have taken some brunt in our life. And guess what? It just makes us stronger, makes us just like that big old oak tree. Bring it on. And living in Charleston, South Carolina, there's some beautiful big old oak trees. And every time I'm walking around or driving around and I see one, I just kind of chuckle. Man, I sure like to hear you talk. I know what you've been through, right? And so we need to remember that story. It's just so cool. But Dawn, I'm so proud of you, and so very humbled by your story and who you are. You're an amazing person, and you're going to be blessed like crazy.
By a show of hands, how many people have ever started from the bottom up and worked your way to the top? How many people have ever failed and got back up? How many people ever started from nothing and got to something because what you did was you were persistent about what you desired to have in your life, and you saw something greater than. The people that sit in this room are no different than you or different than me. You know, we all have been there. We all have done that. But the difference that everybody faces today is, where are you going and where are you headed to? And what's the dream that's going to get you there? But, you know, the dream is just one thing. But the reality of having people around you that can add value to your life to help you get there quicker and faster and bigger than what you've been there before is really what we should be all about. So don't worry. We're there. We've been there. We've done that. And, you know, we've got a God that's greater than all that. And we're just happy to be a part of a family, which is this show. Okay. This family, this new economy. And you're already a member. You're already here, girl. You're no any different than any one of us, and you're just as much as greater than any of us. You're probably the greatest person in this room right now. At least we think you are. How about that?
All right. I want to move over to Atlanta to Gwen Hinton. Gwen, I'm going to put you on the spot today, girl. How's your patient today?
My patience is I read your thank you for last week. I have this on my desk that I read every day now because as Don had me kind of tearing a little bit, right? Because everybody has a struggle, you know? You talk about the lack of, how about your water heater goes out when you ain't have any money to buy a water heater, right? So it's all about what I'm finding with Joe is embracing everything and just absorbing every encouraging word, because Joe, you don't understand, sometimes those words is what keeps me moving ahead. And I definitely appreciate you for that.
Wonderful. Thank you, Gwen. We got to get you a better connection. I want people to hear from you because you have a lot to say. But anyway, thank you for that. And so we're getting a little reverberation there from you, Gwen. But thank you so much. We love you, and it's great to have you on today. Esther, it's great to see you on this call. Esther, you there?
Yeah. Hi. Great to be on the call too.
Well, I want to say to you, you're such an encourager and such an encouragement. And my wife and I love you, and we love your posts and your comments in our social media. And we're just so excited about you and what you're doing. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Doing good. Your posts and your messages, they always make my day. When I'm feeling not so good, I just look at your posts and they inspire me. You and your wife are so inspiring. Today's a good day, challenging, but a good day.
Good, good. Well, you know what? If we're not having a few challenges, we're doing something wrong.
Right.
You know, when I'm getting challenged, I know I'm in the right spot. Bring it on.
Exactly.
You know what? Hey, when the count is 3-2, and he's giving me 4 of his best pitches, and I fouled them all off, I'm just waiting for him to make one mistake.
Right.
One mistake and bring it up in the strike zone just a little bit. Game over.
Yes.
That's the way you got to think. I mean, if you're going to play at a high level, that's the way you got to think, right?
Yes.
So you just keep fouling it off until you get your pitch.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You bet. We love you very much. And Tom Henderson, it's good to see you on. How you doing today? He's muted. Tom Armour, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Joe.
Good. Tom Armour's putting together, Tom, I want you to put your information down in the chat. Tom Armour's putting together a business that I probably shouldn't say this, that I'm going to invest in. So Tom Armour's putting together a business. Tom Armour has been a long time, 30-year friend of mine. And Tom Armour has done a lot of financial type work for JL Capital Group. And he came up with a very, very clever, here's a guy who's really tied into Disney, and I'm going to let him tell you about it. But Tom, you can count on my investment. If you would put your information down in the chat for people to contact you who might be interested in what you're doing, that would be great. But I'm very excited about what you explained to me on the phone on Friday. And it's great to have you on the call. You just want to say just a few clear things about anything you want to talk about, because I respect you as a business guy.
Well, I appreciate it, Joe, and I'm just excited. And, you know, you and I keyed in on each other, I guess, 30 years ago. And I just like where you come from. We speak the same language, business, and like everybody around us to be successful. I like to be a catalyst in people's lives and help them move to where they want to go. And I found, like you said earlier, that the more I help people, the more it helps me, the more I learn. Dawn talking about her being here, and it's my wife was listening in a couple of weeks ago when she was telling her story there a little bit, and she's the one that kind of gravitated my wife towards this thing here. So we're thankful for her being here, and thankful for everybody being here.
Hey, how you doing? Let me make sure I'm muted on this call.
Wonderful. Well, that's great. Tom, thanks for that. And if you put your information in the chat.
I will, Joe. And that way, with people, if anybody wants to contact me and learn about NFTs, I'd be glad to tell them what we're doing and what we got going on there. So thank you very much.
Good. Well, I will call you later on this evening.
Sounds fantastic.
Okay, great. Tom Henderson, how are you doing today?
Pretty good. Finally got unmuted here.
That's good. Tom is the sage of the South down there in South Florida.
Hot and humid today. I've been in My wife and I have been at the food distribution and the warehouse working, and we just dropped off food for 140 families at our church. So I just was late getting on the call this morning.
Wow. This brother has a heart of giving, and he and his wife, Lynn, are very dear friends of Jennifer and mine, and we just love them so much. And, you know, every time I see a man of his stature on a call like this, it just encourages my heart, you know, because he has so much to give to people like all of you do. And it's just amazing. I'm so touched by what we're doing on this show and how we're reaching people. So, Tom, thank you for all you do.
Well, thank you for this here and building our own economy and just sharing minds. It's awesome.
Great.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Well, I want to share a few things with everybody, and then I'm going to open up at the end of the call for some questions. And then I'm going to ask my mentor, Tom Chesser, to finish up this call. But I want to talk to you about 7 things. I want you to get your pad out. And if you're listening to this on the recording, get your pad out, because, you know, when you have a heart that you can learn from somebody, you're going to get something out of it. And I always, when I hear somebody talking, I'm always taking a few notes, right? I listened to a podcast yesterday that talked about the power of anticipation. Now, being an entrepreneur, man, it's great when you can anticipate the right way. And so you can learn something from everybody. And so take a few notes, because I'm going to give you 7 things that I think will help you along in your life to be more successful, and especially in your business. And here's the first one. And I want to tell you, if you're secure in what you believe, then what somebody else believes will never offend you. So when I talk about my faith and that offends you, I want to apologize in advance, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. All right. So the number one thing I think you can do to be more successful in your life and to continue on that path is put God first. Have a time in the morning where you spend time with God, your God. All right. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I'm going to tell you that the first thing I do when my feet hit the floor in the morning is I just say, Lord, I praise you. I thank you for this day. I'm so grateful to be living in this time, and I trust you with this day. That's the 4 things I say the moment my feet hit the floor. And then I hear people saying, put God first and family second. I put God first and I put family first. All right. And because I integrate my family with my business. I want you to hear this. My family is such an integral part of my business, because without them, I wouldn't be doing this. I mean, they give me the reason to work and to strive for what I want to do. And just remember that your family are the ones that are always going to be standing by your side. When you go through a tough time and all your friends are flying on your jets and, you know, using your stuff and staying in your homes and stuff. And when you go through a rough period and those guys don't call you anymore, you know who your friends are, right? Here's what tough times do. Tough times will define who your family is, right? Tough times will determine, where you spend your time and where you spend your value. And it's with your family, your children, your friends, your really friends, your business partners, and then your business. And so it's just really important to understand it that way. I want to tell you, when people say separate your business from your family, I can't do that, because my family is such an integral part of my business, and they're the reason I do what I do. All right. And I'm always talking to my wife about my business. I'm always talking to our children about our business, because I want them to think differently. Right. So number 2 thing is stop comparing yourself to others. Right. Don't compare yourself to somebody else. I mean, I was a baseball catcher. I was good. But you know what? Johnny Bench was a lot better than me. But I didn't compare myself to him. In fact, I had better hair than he did. But he was a great catcher. He played for the Reds. He was an all-star, all everything. But I never compared myself to him, because God gave me some talents too. And so comparing yourself to somebody else is what I call the thief of joy. The thief of joy. Focus on your purpose, focus on your experience, focus on your feelings, and turn your attention to improving you and yourself. And your only competition that you have in life is when you get up in the morning and get your toothbrush and you're brushing your teeth and you're looking at that guy in the mirror, that lady in the mirror. That's your competition. So stop comparing yourself to others. That's number 2. You know, God's got you on your plan for your time, for your purpose, and for your appointed time, and you're going to be fine, right? Number 3, find a support system that encourages you. Ask Joseph Land Show. Every one of y'all ought to be sending this link out to 10 people and say, man, you need to be on this call. It doesn't cost you anything to be on this call. And you're going to hear wisdom from so many people that encourage you. You need to be on this call, right? And find a support. Surround yourself with people who are honest, who are positive, who are energetic, who are supportive of you, who are encouraging to you, and who are inspirational to you. How's that sound? Is that the kind of people you want to hang with? I don't want to hang with somebody when I ask them, I say, how you doing today? Well, I don't know. I'm just hanging in there. Hey, man, ask me how I'm doing. I'm fired up. I'm excited about this day. I'm just so grateful to be alive. You know what? There might be some challenges come, but my God is able. I'm ready to go. You know? And that's the attitude you got to have. If you're going to win big, if you want to play in the major leagues or you want to play business in the major leagues, you got to have that kind of attitude, right? So find a support system that encourages you and inspires you and comes around you to support you. So important. And that's what the Joseph Land Show is all about. Bingo. Number 4, be grateful for what you have. You know, sometimes my legs hurt and I've had a couple of operations and sometimes I'll be walking and my legs are hurting. And one time I was walking and I was thinking, man, my legs are hurting. And I saw this little boy who was missing one leg walking on crutches down by the water. And I said, forgive me, Lord, I got nothing to complain about. At least I got all my legs, right? Last night I had a call from a guy in Pakistan. I do a lot of calling at night with people that I try to help outside of my business. And he was telling me, he said, Joseph, he says, my heart is just broken. He says, I'm in a village in Pakistan where they don't have water. They don't have good water. The old people are dying because they're drinking dirty water. And I said, well, what can we do about it? He said, well, we need this and this and this. And I said, okay, we're going to help you get this and this and this. But you see, here I am. I can't complain about having dirty water. I got good water coming out of my refrigerator, right? I got good water in the tap in my sink. I'm just grateful for my life. I'm grateful for my job, my business. I'm grateful for my home. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for my health. I'm just grateful. I'm just grateful no matter what or how small. And that's the way we all ought to be, right? When my car was stolen, my wife and I started praying for the people who stole it. I told you that. And you know what? We're still praying for them after I got my car back, and my car's in better shape than it's ever been. And I'm just grateful to have it back. I'm glad they were able to use it to feel God's anointing as they were driving my car. All right. So be grateful for what you have, no matter how small. 5, accept your past, whatever it is, and move on. Write this down. There is absolutely no future in the past. There's no future in the past. And so we get stuck in our past. We have a hard time forgiving ourselves. We need to move on from it and become a better person. It's just the experience that God used to teach us a lesson. And don't dwell on it. The only place you can be a blessing is in the present. It's in the present. What happened in the past was my life's lesson to get me where I am so I can move on and make a difference. So life is really short. Life is really short. Tom Chesser had someone in his family pass away over the weekend. We're all seeing that happen as we move on in life. We lose loved ones. Life is short. So accept your past and move on. One other thing that I want to mention to you guys is unforgiveness. How is it that we can forgive others and not forgive ourselves? Right. And it's a hard thing that people struggle with. But I heard a story one time that someone told me. He says, unforgiveness does more harm to the vessel in which it's stored than the object on which it's poured. Right. So think of unforgiveness being in a pitcher, and it does more harm to the vessel in which it's stored than the object on which it's poured. If you have unforgiveness towards someone else, they don't know about it. It's only hurting you. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Let it go. Let the pigeons go. Have you ever seen the pigeons flutter off and fly away? Let it go. And don't dwell on it. Forgive yourself and move on, right? So accept your past and move on. Number 6, and this is what I do really well, invest in yourself. I'm going to surround myself with the Tom Chessers of the world and the people who make me better. When he challenges me, it might aggravate me, but it makes me better. You want to never lose your childlike curiosity. Be a lifelong student. Don, I saw that in you. You're so curious about developing what you're developing. And it really impressed me. Read books, study online, learn from mentors, experience new things. The highest return on investment of any deal comes from the investment in yourself. You can put that in the bank. The biggest return on investment will come from you investing in yourself. And then the 7th thing I want to share with you guys is respect yourself. People learn how to treat you based upon how you treat yourself, right? I had a friend that told me, he says, I'm going to start working out and I'm going to lose 40 pounds. And I said, gosh, that's great. And about 6 months later, he said, you know what? I'm going to start working out and I'm going to lose about 40 pounds. I said, man, that's great. I'm proud of you. About another 6 months later, he said, you know what? I'm going to start working out and I'm going to lose 40 pounds. And I said, man, that's beautiful. That sounds good. I encourage you to do that. You see, but how I've started to begin to feel about him was, he's never going to do it. He talks about it, but he never takes any action. Right. And so when people see you talking about what it is you're going to do, right, and you take action toward your dream, that's when people become believers in you. Let me tell you a story. My oldest daughter now is 42 years old. She heard me talking in our living room to a business associate, and I was getting ready to do a deal. And she heard my sister, who was her aunt, said, oh, Joseph is such a dreamer. And she looked at my sister and she said, but my daddy's dreams always come true. In other words, my daughter was saying he might be talking about it, but he's going to put feet behind the action and he's going to make it happen. Right. And so if you're going to lose 40 pounds and you're going to start working out, then you need to put some feet behind the action, because people are hearing you say it, but they're watching to see what you're going to do. Isn't that cool? And so how you accept yourself is so important. Cutting the negative people out of your life. I got somebody that's going to be negative in my life. I'm cutting them out. I don't have time for it. You want to come around me with complaining and stuff, I'm not listening to it, because I don't operate in that world. And have you ever been around somebody who just complained all the time and you saw them coming and you wanted to run? That's how people perceive that person, right? You are in control of how you want to be treated by others. And what you allow, I want you to write this down. What you allow will continue. What you allow will continue and continue and continue. When you say, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, I'm not going to be talked to that way. I'm not going to be treated that way. I'm not. Hey, and when you draw the line in the sand, that's when everything changes. It's amazing. It's amazing. I had a customer one time ask me how many trucks I had. And my answer was, how many do you need? I got as many as you need. And I didn't have it. I didn't have that many trucks at that point, but I had a big dream and a big vision, and I already could see them in my mind's eye. You're right. And you know what he told me? He said, man, he said, you're so positive. You think about your business in such an amazing way. He said, I want you to talk to my staff after hours. I want to take you to dinner. I want you to talk to my staff and teach them how to talk this way. I said, sir, I don't know what you mean by talking this way. I just am so full of believing in what I'm called to do. He said, that's exactly what I want you to tell them. And that's something. And so you're in control of how you want people to act toward you, react toward you, and treat you. And what you allow will continue. And if it's something you don't want, don't allow it. My wife and I have people that say, oh, you're just a perfect couple and all that stuff. And you must have a lot of things in your client. And we say, hey, man, get out of our face. We don't even want to hear from you. Block. You wouldn't believe some of the negative comments we get, the devil trying to derail us. You know what? We don't pay it any attention. We know where we're going. We know what we've been called to do. And so we don't pay that any attention. And so you got to learn that when you enter the arena to fight for your dream, that you're going to hear the negative, you're going to hear people talking to you, all this stuff. But when you're confident and you're set your goal on where you're headed, nothing can stop you. Nothing. And all those people that are talking, giving me a negative comment, we can buy and sell them. And forgive me for saying that. I probably shouldn't say that. But you know what? You keep talking and we're going to keep going to the bank. And as Tom Chesser has taught me, as long as they talking about me, that's good publicity. Keep talking.
Oscar Wilde said, you hate it when people are talking about you or talking bad about you, but you hate it even worse when they're not saying anything at all.
That's right.
You're in the fight for your life. Expect some punches, expect some feedback, learn how to block some punches, learn how to fight.
That's right.
So you believe in something, you fight for it, right? You live and die for it. You'll give life and limb for it. Whatever you need to do to get ahead with it, you're going to go with it because you believe in it so much, you're unstoppable. And that's what all these people in this room have shared, that desire to be unstoppable.
Yes.
And so if you got to be unstoppable, take the stops off. You can't fly an airplane with the the blocks on. By the wheels, pull the blocks, baby. And get ready to fly.
Let me share one more thing with you guys.
Sure.
My wife has taught me this. When you have people who are critical about what you're doing, just love them anyway. You know what? It really, and I probably shouldn't use this word on air, it really pisses people off when they try to insult you and you just love them anyway. When people say things to you, I say, man, you know what? I never thought about it that way, but you might be right. But anyway, man, hey, I appreciate you. Love you. Thank you for your comment. Next. And smile. You can say anything if you smile, right? And so my wife has one saying, and she's 100% right all the time. Love wins. Love wins. And if you think that Joseph and Jennifer don't have issues and things that we have to deal with 8 children, you need to think again. We have a big job here. And you know what? We just love them anyway. We just keep loving. And so don't worry about what somebody says. Just love them anyway. And just remember, what you allow will continue. Love them and move on. Is that helpful? Is this helpful today? Anybody got any questions? Unmute yourself and let's talk a little bit. Tom Armour, what are you thinking?
Well, I'm just thinking what we always talk about. You need to know where you're going to get there. So if you're not thinking about and praying about where you're headed, how are you going to know? So you're not going to get there by accident. I can tell you that much. So
yeah, that's exactly right.
And how do you find out what you really want unless you talk about it with other people and pray about it with God and have that personal relationship and get feedback in your life. So I believe in mentorship. You know that. You know how I feel about that. I feel that trial and error is an expensive way to learn. I'd rather learn from somebody else's expense. They learned it through the trial and error, and I'll put it to work. I'll put the soul behind it and go get it done. So that's how you accomplish things.
Amen. Amen. Thank you for that. Anybody have any questions today before I turn it over to Tom and we conclude our time together? Any questions? Jerry, you got anything else you want to say today? You're muted. It's hard to remember to unmute, isn't it?
Thank you. Okay, so I was writing, this is an amusing thing that I think you'll think is fun and also instructive for me. So I was writing down in my notes here, you're having persist, I wrote down persist, and a various series of notes that you were just downloading. Where you're going, what you're going to do, what does it take to get there? And the next thing I wrote down was surrender yourself, but that's not what you said. What you said was surround yourself with successful and quality people. But I wrote down surrender yourself and I struck through it. And then I went back and said, I'm putting that in too.
That's great. Well, sometimes you have to surrender yourself to your dream, right? And say, no matter what, I'm staying the course. And, I remember when I first started my transportation company, it didn't all start where I am today. I lived in a travel trailer at a campground, and you had to go a 26-foot travel trailer. You had to go to the campground shower to take a shower in the morning. Right. And then I'd go off to work with my little bag lunch. And my office is probably about as big as my desk is now. And I would be scared. I was frightened. I was frightened every day, but I kept going. And every day I would just fight that fear and overcome that fear. And every day it would get better. And every day it would get better. And I would just ask God to be with me and help me because I didn't know what I was doing. And see that's when you really put yourself in a humble position for blessing, when you can receive and just be in the moment. So I'm really excited about what's happening with you guys and really excited to see the growth on our team here and all the people you guys are blessing outside of this show. So anyway, I'm going to end this call right now. I want to thank you for joining me. I'm going to turn it over to Tom Chesser here. And then when he's through, I'm going to end the recording. And I want all you guys to stay on this call before we conclude. So Tom, throwing it back to you.
The advice that we hear from each other is the fire that ignites the dreams that we have in ourselves. Surround yourself and enjoy the company that you got that's going to support you and believe in you and back you 100%. Recently, I've been involved with the TV network and then raising the $500 million for the satellites and another $1 billion for the network and stuff like that. And people ask me, well, what if you don't get that much? What if you can't get? Well, we'll be happy with. I'm saying, wait a minute. That's not what we asked for. And I'm not going to take anything less than what we asked for. Sometimes you got to set your dreams high enough to, where you follow your dreams, but your dreams follow you. Your dreams will follow you. And if you just dream big, you're going to be big. You act big, you're going to be big. You want to be big? Just think big. So, Joseph Land teaches us how to do all this. And I love hearing the stories. And one of my favorite stories is about the story of him being on a baseball team, and standing behind home plate and, being a catcher, from behind home plate, So let me just say, no matter what life throws at you, just turn back and just deliver it right back 20,000 times faster and harder than it's ever came before because you're greater than. Don't let anybody think less of you or less than of you because you're valued more than. And I appreciate this time together with each and every one of you. It's always fun. Dawn, man, you're on the right track. Shane, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful guys. Just keep headed in that direction. Keep pushing forward. And if you need anything, pick up the phone and call us. We're not superhumans that we can't answer a phone call. I'd love to hear from you. So thank you very much for being here again today. Beautiful advice, and we're surrounded by so much love and encouragement. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Well, thank you for joining us today. You guys hang on. I'm going to end the show. Thank you for joining us today, guys. And we'll see you next Monday at noontime Eastern Standard Time.